Hello and welcome to another episode of a Get Creative Q&A live. We have Nathaniel Havestian.
Hovsepian,
We
yeah,
didn't talk
yeah.
about
Yeah, we did.
Havestian. I should have
Hovsepian.
asked that.
That's all right.
And we're going to cover a sub 2 deal today. And we are just waiting for the chat to fill up. I'm going to hop in our Facebook group and get us pinned so everyone can find us. While we're getting going, Nathaniel, if you want to tell us a little bit about where you're at, how you found Get Creative and the community.
Yeah, so it's been a long time since I joined Sub2. So to answer your question, which I was having trouble at the meetup last night, is I don't really know how I found Pace originally, but it's been over 2 years since I've been in Sub 2, and probably around the same time I'm in the creative financing with Pace Morby Group as well. We just are making a huge pivot in our business, though. We've been wholesaling and flipping for 7, 8 years now, and we're pivoting to just being buyers. So we're going nationwide. We're casting a very wide net. We're going to be buying creative deals all over the country to make midterm and short-term rentals with. So it's exciting. We're jumping out of the plane and we're putting our parachute on the way down.
What made
Awesome.
you want to make that switch?
We've been taking a lot of stock in things lately, and we realized that this isn't what we got into real estate for, wholesaling. It's been a lot of me working and not a lot of us working. And when I say us, my wife and I, and the wholesaling was just becoming a grind for us. We did very well during, it has afforded us the opportunities to come do shows like this and, go to meetups and things like that. But we got into real estate to hold properties, and so kind of starting with the end in mind now. Finally, we're finally kind of going on that path. We do have a couple rentals. We have this. It's actually a seller finance deal that we did that we sold on a wrap. So we hold a couple notes actually in a couple different places. So we have some cash flow coming in, but we really want to build up our portfolio and really start building essentially our retirement.
Nice.
That's wonderful. I think I love when people say, I don't actually know how I got here into the community. It just happened.
It did.
A guy,
Oh, sorry to cut you off. I was making a decision between joining Sub 2, and this was at the end of 2021. I was making the decision whether I should join Sub 2 or I should join this other coaching program, and I chose poorly. And within a month of joining the other one, I was like, you know what? I should have joined Sub 2. And so after that one kind of went its way, I joined Sub 2, and I haven't looked back since. It's been amazing.
that's wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
and anything is the value is of course the community here, but also that you're an action taker. You stepped up and continued to take action and not just absorb the info, but actually utilize it. So that's an important piece here.
Yeah, I hit the ground running when I joined Sub 2. We were wholesaling and I wanted to really build my sales skills. So I was literally in the daily dials. For you out there that aren't in Sub 2, the daily dials are like a role playing. Uh, we do live seller calls. We role play seller calls and we role play agent calls every morning for 4 hours each morning. And so I was in there every day at 8 o'clock in the morning with my hand raised, trying to hone the knife, so to speak. So I got pretty good pretty fast. Pat myself on the back at seller calls, and I was able, I kind of transferred those skills to my wholesaling business and being able to lock up deals. And so, like you said, yeah, it's about coming in here and you're just drinking from a fire hose when you join, but then you got to go put those things into practice.
Yeah, it's a lot when you first join, for sure.
Yeah.
There's so much information and it's hard to choose, I think, because people
Mm-hmm.
see people excelling at so many different things. They're like, "Oh, look, that person's doing so well over here or over here." So, it's nice that you were able to do the daily dials and then move forward with it.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into breaking this deal down that we're talking about today?
Absolutely. I realized as I was kind of taking my notes on it to make sure that I get everything right, I probably misspoke a little bit with pace. Not like terribly, but I think I said a couple things maybe mistakenly.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
fine.
okay.
So
We
the
can
seller
have it
finance
now.
deal, right?
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, so it was a seller finance deal. We ultimately got it on seller finance. Like I was telling Pace, the seller had a number in mind. It was 80,000 he wanted for this property. He had been renting it out. It wasn't the greatest kind of tenant situation. It really wasn't the greatest property in the greatest area, but he had in his mind that it was worth 80,000. And I went and I told him like, look, the house is not worth 80,000. We're not going to be able to pay it. But he really kind of needed the market to tell him so. So we locked it up on an option agreement at 80,000, and I sent it out to not only the community, but I sent it out to like all the buyers that I knew in the area. And sure enough, they all came back and said, it's 40,000, it's 35,000. So I bring these numbers back to the seller and go, look, this is kind of like I told you it was going to be. This is where people are coming in at, for a cash transaction. But I have this other way that we can make this work. And at this point, I kind of knew a lot about what his situation was. I knew he really had some credit cards that he wanted to pay off, and he had a small mortgage on his primary house that he wanted to pay off. So I knew what he needed in his pocket. So I was able to kind of transition that to let me take care of what you need now, and we can pay you the rest of the 80,000 over time. Because I don't care about overpaying for a house if you're going to let me pay you off for 15 years. So we were able to get it at 0% for 15 years, and it's turned into a wrap. We can talk more about that, but it was a bit of a nightmare for about 8 months as we were going through that wrap process. But something that I learned to kind of go back to the daily dial, and I talked with Pace about it, is we go cash, cash, cash. Go for terms last. You got to like hammer out the cash deal, because still most of the deals that are getting done through wholesalers, and through going direct to seller, we're still doing cash deals. So you got to kind of push that out of the way, and then you bring this other solution to the table, which is creative finance. So they need to kind of self disqualify the cash sale before you're able to present this solution to them.
Yeah. And I think also they need to see like, yeah, we'll pay you cash, but this is what we're paying you. But if you want
Right.
this shiny number over here, you got to work with me on some terms and we can get you that, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Was there anyone else from the Sub 2 community that was involved in the deal?
I did. I had some help from a local Sub 2 member, Jake Dill, and he was kind of boots on the ground at a couple different places in the transaction. He kind of did our initial walkthrough, and he actually did the bringing buyers to the walkthrough on the property, so the buyers could come see it.
Nice.
Shout out to Jake Dill. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what do you think is next for you, or what do you want to do next? Is it just buying and holding locally, or do you have like specific markets you're targeting?
We're not targeting certain markets. I don't want to like burn any bridges out there, but there are certain markets that we kind of won't play in, so to speak. But no, we're casting a really wide nationwide net, and we're going to just be focused on, as the deals are coming in, we're going to be doing like a market analysis on what the best kind of exit strategy, whether it be, a short-term rental for a city like Charleston, South Carolina, or like a mid-term rental for a city like maybe Houston, where there's a lot of people coming in and traveling and doing stuff. So depending on the location of the property, it's going to kind of dictate how we exit. I don't necessarily like to use the word exit, but how we hold it, I guess, is maybe a better way, because you only exit when you sell it, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have like a door number or a cash flow number that you're working towards for 2024?
We do. We're going for 50K net cash flow per month. Um, Given the numbers that we're looking at, it's probably going to be between 50 and 75 doors. So we've set like kind of lofty goals at 2 to 3 doors per week starting in Q3. We're going through hiring an operation manager right now. We've been in a coaching program actually called the Growth Co with Jesse Stanton, a longtime Sub 2 member, and he's kind of propped us up as putting these pieces in place. So it's been a lot of, like I said, kind of jumping out of the plane and putting the parachute together on the way down. But it's been really exciting because we're using a lot of the skills that we've built over the years, wholesaling and flipping, and now putting them into a really focused goal of buying a bunch of doors and really creating our retirement. So
Mhm.
yeah, we're going for in Q3, we're like putting all the foundational pieces in place right now, and then come quarter 3, we're going 2 doors a week, 3 doors a week, all the way up through the end of the year.
Wow. I love that you describe it as jumping out of the plane and putting the parachute together on the way down.
Yeah,
Because to be honest, though, that's what learning something new is. That's what diving into a new industry is. We're all just learning on as we go. And that's such a powerful analogy. I love that.
yeah, and it like
What would you
to go back to the to go back to the deal that we were like kind of talking about is like we learned so much just from this one deal, um, like marketing it, talking to different buyers. It kind of turned us off to wraps a little bit, so to speak, because um, it took us a little while to find a buyer because it wasn't the best area. And then once we finally found the buyer, we had squatters moved in. Squatters moved in and like ripped out all the electrical in the house. So we had to do like an insurance claim on the property, and that took a couple months. And then um, we actually ended up selling it on in South Carolina. It's called a bond for title, like an executory contract. So the title doesn't actually transfer until the loan is paid off in full, and so that has caused some issues between the buyer and ourselves, where they still kind of think that they're tenants, so to speak, even though they're not really the owners. So it's been a lot of just learning how to navigate those conversations and empowering them to be like, dude, it's your house. Like, don't come to me with plumbing issues anymore.
I always relate real estate investing to just like being on a roller coaster of life
Mm.
because you're like, okay, great, this is going so well this week. And then you're like, holy crap, what is happening? Like, burn the boats, let me get out of here. I never want to buy another house again. And then
Yes.
you're on the upward again. You're like, okay. And now you're like, let's buy 50 to
Yeah.
75 doors. So it never like hinders you, but there are many times that I'm like, who's testing me? Like, what have I done that someone
Yeah.
needs to test me like this?
It
That's
is a
awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of just taking stock in this, and we've found, just being grateful for everything, especially when you're on those downs and things aren't going the way you kind of want. You just have to be grateful for the things you have and like, okay, we're going to get through this. We've gotten through other things before. Everything's going to be fine. I still got a roof over my head. And I used to say when I'd be talking to sellers and when I help people that are getting used to talking to sellers, like, they can't take your birthday away. They're not going to reach through the phone and strangle you or anything. Like, they were probably just having a really bad day when you called, or they're just tired of getting the same old calls from people. So yeah, it's just being grateful for what we have a lot. Yeah.
That is always a nice aspect of, especially like within the sub two community itself, is when you have a problem or you've gone through like one of those downs of the roller coaster, you can post in there, or you can just read through some people's posts and people are going through the exact same thing as you, like, or worse. And you're like, okay, we're getting through this. They can get through it. We can all move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to do that too much, but I definitely have posted like, "Hey, I'm feeling down today," and it's amazing. Just sometimes within 10 minutes, people are like, "Hey, I got you," and people will reach out and pick you up and help you move through that. So the sub two community has been, I mean, it's been amazing. It's been the game changer for all sorts of things, not even real estate necessarily related sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. What would you say to someone that was kind of on the outskirts of this, maybe out in Facebook land, in the free Facebook group or YouTube world, and they're know that they want to pursue a path in real estate investment, but they just don't really know how to plug in.
Man, there's like kind of Pace created the elephant challenge because he calls it like there's so many ways to take down real estate, so you just got to do things one bite at a time. Um, Connecting with people, like myself that have been through what you're going through and are maybe just a chapter or two ahead of where you're trying to be, is a great place to start, and just kind of picking brains. I'd like to say that I do a good job of kind of listening and finding out what you're really trying to accomplish, and then being able to steer you in the right direction. And by all means, if you don't like me, there's plenty of people that are willing to help you out that are just like me. But it's really a great place to start. There's plenty of sub 2 members that are in the creative finance group, the larger community, that you can tap on the shoulder and say, hey, look, I'm trying to do what you're doing. What did you do like when you were starting out? And wholesaling is a great place to start because you learn so many skills. Eventually you kind of end up, you either build a huge team and you build yourself out of that, or you pivot like we're doing and move on to different stuff. So yeah, I would say definitely just like start reaching out to people. And everybody has some value to bring. Even if you've never done a deal, you've never talked to a seller, you've never seen a HUD statement, you still have experiences in your life, and you can bring value to people. So take stock in what you've done and what the experiences that you've had, and listen to what the other person is telling you, and figure out how you can kind of plug yourself in. That was long-winded.
No, I love it. And that's so important, like examining where you can fit into it. What works for your personality type, and what steps you want to take next. And you can find that by leaning on other community members, other
Yeah.
people doing the types of things you want to do. That's how you test these things out. Dip your toe in the waters here, guys.
And I just, as you were talking there, it kind of popped into my head that like, I mentioned wholesaling, and we've talked wholesaling a lot, but that's only like one piece of the real estate puzzle. And Pace has on his YouTube channel a breakdown of a bunch of different, we call them avatars. Different people do different things well. And so, you can be a wholesaler, you can talk directly to sellers or directly to agents, or you can be a lender, or like we're pivoting, you can be a buyer, you can just be a person who's connecting people together. There's, I don't know how many he ended up at this point, like 20 maybe. And
There's a lot.
Yeah, I can't remember it all, but if you go on his channel, you will see the breakdown. I bet you could just go to YouTube and type Pace Morby avatar, and the videos will pop up. There you go, right there. Yeah, so that's a great place to start too, especially if you're scared of talking to sellers or talking to agents, or like that's just not your strong suit. There's a lot of different ways that you can get yourself involved in real estate. And so my wife, for example, like she does not want to talk to anybody. She will get on the phone if she absolutely has to, but she's not going to talk to agents. She's not going to talk to wholesalers. She doesn't want to talk to like lenders or anything like that. But she's really good at like looking at deals and underwriting them, and like going through the Excel sheets and like building out big calculators and things like that. So that's how she's been able to kind of plug herself into the business. And I don't want to say provide value because she's my wife, but she provides value in so many different ways. But it's an example of how you can provide value without necessarily needing to be on the phones all the time.
But also, it's nice that the two of you complement each other, right? Like
Right.
I work with my husband and we are very different. Same thing. He doesn't want to be on the phone. He wants to be behind the scenes. Most people think I'm doing all of this by myself. So it's always nice that you guys can lean on each other, and one of you is strong on the phones while the other's running numbers, saying it's a good deal or not, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And she's going to be, as we pivot and we're hiring the operations manager, like she's taking the lead on that, because like reading resumes and like I can do it, and I would say I'm okay at it, but like I don't want to do it. I would much rather be connecting with people and seeing where, we can plug into each other and bring value to each other and ultimately do deals and big things together. That's where like I kind of thrive. And so that's, she's doing her thing so I can do my thing. And like you're saying, we make one complete kind of super person.
Yes. Wonderful. And guys, if you're not teamed up in life yet and married, such as myself, you can find business partners and folks to lean on in the community and the free groups too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love
There's
the
plenty of,
teamwork.
yeah, there's plenty of people out there that are complementary to your skill set, 100%.
Yes. And as you're dipping your toe into the waters and learning more and networking, the levels of partnership change over time too. Just a good way to start is to get in there and start talking to people though.
Yeah, that's something that I wish I kind of had learned. Pace preaches it when you get into sub two, and he probably preaches it all over the place is go out and make connections. And one thing that I did really well in that I went out and made my 100 connections, and then I was like, all right, now I'm done with that. And it's not just about going and making connections, it's about now building those relationships up. Because you can do a 30-minute call with somebody and not really dive into the deep, dive very deep, but it's about going deep with each person and really figuring out how you can kind of build on each other and, work together over time. So I'm finally going back through all my contacts for people that I met 2 years ago and going, hey, you know what? It's been a while. What are we up to? And, I'm a different person than I was then. I have a lot of different skills than I did then, and I'm definitely a better listener and what do they call it? Servant leader. So I'm very grateful for that. I wish I was further along, but I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Yes, I don't think there's always wishing we were further along, but yeah, we're grateful for where we are now and we know that each day we're learning the lessons to go to the next step. So
Yeah.
well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us, Nathaniel.
Thank you for
And
having me.
we see your website up above there. Is there anywhere else you'd like people to contact you, or we should just go to right there?
I created this so it's kind of a one-stop shop. It's like a cue card or whatever a blink almost. So you just go to nathanielhovsepian.com. It'll have the couple socials that I, can be found on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then it even has kind of broken down. It's very basic. I made it myself. Don't judge. No, that's not true. Bill Welsh did a great job helping me out and getting me started, but there's a few different buttons. So you click on whichever button applies to you and it'll take you through a form to fill out so we can connect. And then it'll even take you to a calendar. So you can just jump right on my calendar. So if you're just getting started and there was something about me that you kind of jived with, feel free to come on there and we'll have a 30-minute call and we'll kind of see how I can help you out. There's a button there for wholesalers. Like I said, we're looking for deals. So if you're a wholesaler out there especially with creative deals, with Deals Anywhere, there's a button for you. And then there's a button for people that are looking to get into the lending space as well. So we can talk. We're raising a lot of money to go out and buy all these properties. So there's a button for you too.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Jennifer, for being here as well. Thanks everybody out there in Facebook and YouTube land. And we'll see you again tomorrow for another Q&A from Get Creative. Thanks,
Thank you guys so much.
guys. Go talk to Nathaniel.
I'm here.